Matthew Robert Payne. This is a chapter called What is Evangelism? It's part of Prophetic Evangelism Made Simple book, and it's chapter 7. So what is evangelism? Is evangelism something you see with a crusade where there's a tent or a big building full of Christians and non-Christians who've been invited by their Christian friends to hear an evangelist speak on the gospel? Is that evangelism? Yes, that's evangelism, but most people who become a Christian, over 90% of people who become Christians don't become Christians through that way of evangelizing. The majority of Christians come to become a Christian through the witness and the example of another Christian. So your whole life is being watched. Your whole life is being watched by people that know that you're a Christian, and they're watching you. They're seeing for themselves, is this God of Matthew authentic? Is this God of Matthew really just care for Matthew, or does this God really care for me too? And they're watching you and they're measuring your God through the actions that you take and the things that you do. And so evangelism is being Christ in your neighborhood, or being Christ in the community that you interact with. Evangelism is essentially doing the works of Christ as you can and as you're able and as you're equipped to do those works. Now, not everyone can go and give people money every day. Sometimes you've got limited money, but it's surprising how much money I've got, and I'm on a disability pension, so I don't have a lot of money, but it's amazing that I can spend $200 a fortnight on things of God and producing my books and giving to other ministries. It's amazing how much spare money you've got when you're not just spending your money on superfluous sort of things and wasting your money on the things of the world. So evangelism is living the life of Jesus Christ, and you can do that by simply obeying Jesus and obeying the Holy Spirit. One good way of being a good evangelist is to listen to good evangelists. Evangelists have books on how to evangelize people, and evangelism isn't just saying to people that if they die they're going to go to hell unless they become a Christian. That is certainly not good news. Like I've covered before, and it bears repeating, telling a person that they've got the choice between being a hypocritical Christian or a person going to hell, most often they'll take their chances of going to hell. I don't know how it is in America, but in Australia, the average person in Australia believes if they're not a pedophile or a murderer, that they're actually going to go to heaven. The average person in Australia believes that essentially that they have to be very evil for them not to go to heaven. They don't think that you actually have to have a personal relationship and give your life to Jesus Christ and live a life devoted to Jesus Christ to actually go to heaven. No, the average person in Australia believes that all you've got to do is believe in God, and don't molest young children and don't murder anyone, and you'll essentially be okay. That they're okay and they're not sinners, and they'll go to heaven. And they believe Jesus was a nice person, but they don't believe Jesus is a person that they have got to personally commit their life to. So in some way you've got to build a strong relationship with the people that are around you, to give them the option for them to be able to ask you, what is it about you? Why do you go to church? Why do you focus so much on Jesus? And for them to be coming forth with those questions so that you can honestly, from your heart, answer those questions. If you're coming from a point where you're trying to answer questions from what someone told you or what you learned to say, that's not the right place. The best place to answer people's questions is from your heart. And one of the best things for you to say to a person who's seeking is, I don't understand the answer, I haven't got the answer for that question that you've asked me. I'll ask my pastor, I'll ask someone who's responsible. I'm not going to try and give you an answer that I don't understand. Telling people that you don't understand or haven't got an answer is one of the most honest and effective things that you can do. And so this book isn't going to cover material that I don't understand or I haven't walked in or haven't been a part of. It's only going to cover things that I understand. A lot of people in prophetic evangelism minister the gift of healing to people and heal people on the streets. I'm not moving in that at the moment. I've been used to heal a couple of people, but I'm not effectively walking in that at the moment, so I can't teach it. So it would be a whole lot better book if I could teach that, but I'm not walking in it. So people understand and accept you for who you are. So your life, the life that you live, the life that you're living out there in your workplace and out there in your family, that is evangelism. It's not essentially the words that you say about Jesus. It's not essentially the words that you say about your faith. It's the way that you react, and it's the way that you go ahead with your life despite the circumstances and despite the pains and the troubles in the world. It's the way that you hold yourself. You always can tell a person with confidence because they dress well and they hold themselves well. You can most of the times tell someone who's down on their luck or homeless by the way they dress and by the way they hold themselves. And people are essentially looking at the way you hold yourself. They're looking for humility, they're looking for love, they're looking for compassion, they're looking for understanding. And Jesus wants you to develop those fruits. He wants you to develop His fruit of the Holy Spirit in your life so you can be a more effective evangelist, so you can be more effective in demonstrating His kingdom to people that you know and that you mix with. Now, evangelism also includes sharing with people your testimony, but you don't have to say, well, once I was lost and once I didn't know Jesus and then I became a Christian and now my life is a whole lot different. You can share your testimonies in little bits, that saying that your brother was committed to a psychiatric ward and you're having a real struggle with the fact that your brother has had a breakdown like my brother just has. And then you can say that Jesus says in the book of Revelation that He's the Alpha and the Omega. And you can share with him that Jesus knew your brother from the start of your brother's life, and He knows your brother's future, and He seems to have a good future for your brother. And so you've got a personal peace no matter the circumstances and no matter how out of control your brother is at the moment. You've got a peace within your heart that everything's going to be okay from your brother. Sharing a personal story like that with a friend or someone that you know is a way of sharing testimony, and it's a way of sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. So you've just essentially got to make Jesus Christ into a living reality in people's lives. So if everyone's struggling with a boss that's really aggressive, your actions toward the boss and your actions around other staff by not participating in the gossiping and complaining stands out like a sore thumb. You know how when you hurt your thumb or hurt your finger and it's really sore, it just, every time you concentrate, you just can't help but concentrating on your thumb. Every time you use your hand, your thumb or your finger really hurts. Well, to be an effective evangelist around the people that you love, you've got to stand out like that. You've got to be different, that every time they come across a situation with you, you're reacting different, you're doing things differently, and they've got to see that difference. They won't essentially come and ask you, what is it that makes you different? Which is good if they do, but these people are in a journey, and you've got to remember that your life and your interaction with people may only be a seed in their life. They may have the opportunity later on to have more questions about God and His Holy Spirit and ask someone else who's a Christian, but they'll always be remembering that person that they knew called Matthew, that they knew from Street Level Salvation Army Church, and they'll always remember that's what a real Christian is like. And if Christianity's like Matthew's religion, I want to know that. And so please be sure, like we've covered before, that the Holy Spirit is smart. We've just got to do our part. We've just got to shine our light. We've just got to share the good news of Jesus through our actions and through what we do rather than with words. So many people are quick to words and feel that they've done their duty by telling a person that they're going to go to hell unless they give their life to Jesus. They honestly think they've done their duty, but they've offended a person and hurt a person. And people have all sorts of excuses why that's the right thing to do, and that's sharing the gospel, and they're just getting rejected. But they're still sharing the gospel, and that person's been given a chance. You're not given a chance if you're pressured into a decision by a God that would send you to hell. That's not the sort of loving God. People need to experience the love of God in their life. People need to know that you love them before you judge them. People need to know that you accept them for who they are rather than judging them for who they are. People want to know that the love of Christ flows through you. They want to meet Christ within you. They want to find a person who loves them regardless of all their flaws, and slowly they'll start to open up and share with you that their life is no good and their life is coming undone. And it's in those situations that you can move in the Holy Spirit and speak to them the words that you feel the Holy Spirit has given you to speak to them, to comfort them. Don't move in and pounce on that situation and saying you need to become a Christian, but simply say, like I say often, can I pray for you? Do you mind if I take your issues before God next time I'm praying at my home? Or would you rather me pray for you here in person, that situation would be resolved, or that thing in your life would get better? People are very open to Christians praying, and you can have a powerful effect on a person when you pray a prayer. They remember the prayer, and then the prayer gets answered, and God will use every opportunity He has to reach a person. And oftentimes He brings a person to the end of their ropes just so that they'll ask you for help and reach out to you so that God can reach out to them. So be aware that the Holy Spirit is moving. Be aware that He wants to guide you, and be aware that being an evangelist is essentially being a Christ-like person. You don't have to win 100 souls to God to be an effective evangelist. A lot of people can win people to God that you knew, but it's because of your influence in their life that they're won to God. So I hope that you've learned something from this chapter.